Good afternoon. We are kicking off May Military Appreciation Month with the salutes of the many veterans that work alongside us at EdgeConneX. My name is Brian Green, and I'm the Executive Vice President of Build, Engineering, Program Management, and Operations here. And I'm proud to introduce you to a fellow Navy veteran, Don MacNeil, who is our Chief Revenue Officer here at EdgeConneX. So Don, let's talk today about your Navy experience and how it ties back to our jobs in the data center industry at Edge.
Yeah, well, first of all, I'd like to just say, coming back to EdgeConneX and coming back in this time with a fellow naval officer, shipmate, it really is. It was a great surprise, and it continues to be something that we can have a lot of fun with, as well as at the same time build on that shared experience, both during our time at the Naval Academy as well as serving on ships at sea. So that's probably one of the great surprises for me, just coming back here at the beginning of the year and doing so kind of arm in arm, if you will, with you. So thus far it's been fun, and I continue to look forward to it. And this is a great example of, I think, where we can share a lot, not only with EdgeConneX, but also with the veteran community that's going through the transition process. So I think this is great opportunity for us both.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And sort of echo your comments. I mean, just with service members having the commonality of experience, but you and I remember going through division officer, warfare school, and being our first job showing up and being responsible for 100% availability, leading teams, and all the things that are associated with the mission critical organization. And I think it just really nice to share that experience. And I'm newly joined to Edge also in the last 5 months, and it just amazes me with our partnership with Salute, the folks that have come up through the ranks in our organizations that started off former military. It's nice for that, the dedication to character, the reliability, resilience, and just to stop at nothing, just to get things happening, and also the willingness to work well with others, which has been really good. How was your transition to the data center industry?
Yeah, it's interesting. I get asked that sometimes. Hey, how do you go from being on a ship to being in a data center? And all kidding aside, really, as you well know, a ship is really, although it has weapons and massive communication suite, it unto itself is full of computers and, all dependent upon redundant, reliable mechanical, electrical, and plumbing systems. So, all that said, a ship is a floating data center, and so building on that, I think it was candidly an easy transition, albeit for me. I left the military, came into telecom, and then by virtue of my telecom background into the data center space. But again, very similar. Telecom, you find a lot of veterans doing quite well and have been doing quite well for many, many years in the telecom space as well.
Yeah, it's really interesting. The same thing for me. As I exited the Navy, my first civilian job was in the telco industry, and a lot of the same sort of principles, because it's a critical service that had to be maintained. And the funny thing is, I don't know, because I was coming out of service right at the height of the .com boom. I didn't know that you could actually do this for a living until I fell into it a good 10, 15 years later. And it's funny because a lot of stuff you talk about, this is very similar to my first job out of the Naval Academy, in terms of same type of principles, and as well as the real emphasis on people, because I think the leadership aspect in this industry cannot be understated, because when you're in critical environments, it's about how well you're able to get along, how well you're able to lead, and how well you're able to inspire, because there's some long hours and long nights and long days. And the commitment to the mission is so important.
Yeah, no, you summarized it well. I mean, as I think about just the individuals I've worked alongside, yourself most recently, but over the years, just different individuals that we've hired or we've worked alongside, or even in the vendor and customer community. It's not unusual for us to sit across the table from a fellow vet, and again, that always makes a nice common experience that naturally relates itself as well to just building that trust, because I think everybody appreciates, especially in the data center industry, all the time, the machines running inside those data centers are mission critical, as you touched on. And knowing that you're looking across the table from a fellow vet who understands, detailed oriented, being mission accomplishment is first and foremost, but more importantly, having kind of the operational mindset and DNA of following methods of procedure, following procedures, and being very detail oriented in those instances where things may go wrong, and how to deal with it. So I mean, for all those reasons, vendors, customers, and coworkers, I think it's always nice sometimes where you don't know, but when you find out you're sitting alongside a veteran, I think it makes it that much better. Absolutely.
And just the focus on the outcome of the goal and the professional maturity, the ability to put your interests or hold them back against the greater good. And it's absolutely just embedded in everything that we see in our veterans, and also from our previous experiences. So what are your key tips for folks that are veterans that are thinking about transitioning into this industry?
Yeah, and I think to me, a few tips I think carry across even just telecom or any kind of service-oriented industry. Things that I reflect on and think wish I had known a little bit better. I'd start off with number one, probably making sure that you're doing the homework, whether it's that role or that that company. Being more prepared and having a good insight. I mean, it somewhat sounds fundamental, but candidly, I know, especially for me, I was attracted by telecom, but probably didn't do as much homework. It didn't hinder, so to speak, getting a job. I was lucky that way, but I think making that transition in and lucky for me, it worked out just as I liked it. It checked all the boxes for me in that case. But I'd say do the homework, take advantage. The next thing is, and this is far better, I think, than when you and I were transitioning. But the use of a network. What Salutes been doing just for the broader veteran community. Relying on it. And I'll tell you, we all have our personal networks, whether it's individuals we worked for or with. One of the things that I probably didn't take advantage of, just aside from working it, I always felt like I was imposing. And I think one thing for me is that people that you came through an organization with or an experience with, we all have been helped. We all want to help. So I would say, don't be bashful. Don't feel like you're imposing, but rather, take advantage of the network and ask for help. Don't be afraid to ask for help. And then I would say, finally, don't get caught up in the rank or the job title. If you find a company or an industry you want to break into, have confidence in yourself. Take that entry-level job. I started off as a project manager. It was, I paid my dues, worked hard, but the hard work and your skill and talent, trust in the organization and the process that, what you can add to an organization will get recognized. And I'm sure, Brian, just in your time in the industry, for both of us, right? I think that's a true point. So don't worry about the rank. To find a job, find an industry and a company you want to be a part of, and then work your way up.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Just as a side note, my first job in the telco industry was as a project manager, and just kind of funny having all these parallels. So those are great tips, and as I think about things, I wish I'd have known back then. A lot of what you said really resonated, and understanding, or one, like you said about being able to ask for help, because I mean, all of us in our careers were helped by somebody, and a lot of folks feel intimidated by that. But if you have a genuine interest and say, hey, I'm kind of interested in learning about this, here's what I've sort of done, or sort of the initial homework, but I'm really interested in your perspective. How can you help? And just showing that initial interest and having some knowledge, and then asking for that help goes a really long way, because then you never know what people have seen or have access to. So I think that's really important. I would also say that don't underestimate your abilities and what you've done in the past in terms of the character development, the commitment to accountability, the ability to just get in and get hard work done, because that's really extremely valuable in the workplace. And the last thing I would say is pay close attention to the things that you really enjoy doing, or the things that you've had in previous jobs that you liked, or a time in your service you really enjoyed, and start thinking about, well, what did I really like about it? And there's all kinds of applications, in whatever industry you go to, or if you gravitate towards the data center industry. I think it was really great to catch up. And I would end by saying 91.
Yeah, no, it's good. And it's a great example of just, it's that shared mission, but at the same time, we can have some fun together and through that same experience. So yeah, thanks, Brian. It was good to share some time with you and get caught up.
Absolutely.